Good morning. For members of the public that are viewing or attending this meeting, welcome to the public hearing on the proposed budget for the State Bar of Texas for fiscal year 2024-2025. Notice of this hearing was published in the Texas Register and in the March 2024 issue of the Texas Bar Journal. My name is Trey Apfel, and I'm the Executive Director of the State Bar of Texas. Today I will present the budget highlights and then open the meeting up for questions and comments. A copy of the formal budget is available as a handout, or you may find it online at texasbar.com/ourfinances. The formal proposed budget that I will be discussing today looks like the snapshot on this slide. A more detailed report on each department's proposed budgeted revenues and expenditures, along with a description of each department, is available on the Our Finances page of our website. Today we will focus on the general fund of the State Bar, which is the main operating fund and contains most of the financial activity of the bar. The proposed general fund budget includes revenues and receipts from reserves of $51,094,558 and has an equal amount of expenditures, transfers out, and proposed board commitments, and this results in a balanced budget. When comparing the current proposed general fund budget for fiscal year 2024-2025 to the adopted budget for fiscal year 2023-2024, both revenues and expenditures have increased by 5% or approximately $2.5 million. The primary reason for the increase in budget is due to the effects of inflation. We are seeing higher costs of goods and services, specifically in the categories of paper and printing, goods related to maintenance, high job market demands, and higher fees charged to hold in-person meetings. Salaries expenditures is the largest category of expense of the budget. This chart presents a comparison of budgeted general fund salaries compared to the total budgeted expenditures of the bar. Over the past 10 years, this trend has remained stable at around 41% to 42% of total budgeted expenditures and transfers. The total budgeted salaries as a percent of total budgeted expenditures and transfers that is included in the proposed budget for the general fund is 42.5%, which is in line with the bar's 10-year history of this benchmark. 3 annual transfers are included in the general fund budget. Section 3.08 of the board policy manual requires the first 2 annual transfers. They are $483,108 to the building fund used to replace capital equipment and renovation of physical properties. The second is a $500,000 transfer to the client security fund. This transfer is $200,000 above the minimum annual transfer required by board policy. And then third, we have a $500,000 annual transfer to the technology fund, which is a separate fund used to purchase and develop the bar's information technology infrastructure. The audit for fiscal year 22-23 has been completed, and the total amount available for designation by the State Bar Board is $4,942,564 for the fiscal year 2024-2025 budget. This amount comes from a positive variance from fiscal year 2022-2023 financial operations. Next, I'll discuss the board's designation of these funds in the next slides. The first item is designating $787,477 to maintain the level of minimum reserves at 3.1 months of operating expenditures bringing the total amount held in reserves now to $12,705,083. The second is designating $2,120,319 to offset future projected budget deficits. As expenditures continue to increase with the rising costs of goods and services, it's anticipated that the revenue growth of the State Bar will not keep pace with expenditures. These reserves will ensure that the State Bar has funds available to provide all of the bar's current services to its members and the public in the coming years. The third is a commitment of $500,000 to the State Bar's Technology Fund, and this commitment will fully fund the development of a new MCLE reporting system and will cover future anticipated costs to replace IT equipment. The fourth is to commit $1,500,000 for the building fund. These funds are needed for the anticipated costs in connection with development of the 1415 Lavaca building into an education and conference center. Anticipated costs include building plan and development costs, permits, and construction planning costs. Of this amount, $500,000 will be reserved to cover the costs of planning a capital fundraising campaign. It is intended that the funds raised will offset the initial investment in the Lavaca building construction. The next item is a commitment of $8,832 to raise the balance maintained as a reserve for future State Bar initiatives. This increase will bring the total held in reserves for that project to $200,000. Next is a commitment of $50,000 to increase funds held for future membership referendum votes. This board commitment would bring the total held to $200,000 to cover travel, meeting, and implementation costs associated with the future membership rules of votes. And lastly, we are, in this budget, we are uncommitting $24,065 of the unspent board committed funds that were utilized to host the Southern Conference of Bar Presidents. The total of these board commitments equals the amount of funds available for designation presented in the preceding slide. This concludes my presentation, and at this time I would entertain any questions from the public, if there are any in connection with the fiscal year 2024-2025 proposed budget. And seeing no one present, the proposed budget of the State Bar of Texas for fiscal year 2024-2025 was presented to the public, and the meeting was open for discussion. The Budget Committee will consider the comments made by the public when submitting the proposed budget to the Board of Directors for consideration. I now declare this